Welcome back to V-Day on the Alex Jones Show on this 21st of January 2011. We've officially launched the V for Victory resistance campaign today at prisonplanet.com and infowars.com. And we're encouraging info warriors worldwide, not just in America, to join us in posting these flyers everywhere as a powerful symbol of our defiance against the takeover of society by the New World Order. And why is it necessary to invoke the spirit of the French resistance to make a point about 21st century America? Because not just in America or the United Kingdom, but the West as a whole is on this same slippery slide towards the very same informant spy Stasi societies that were set up by the Nazis and the Soviets, both in Russia and the former East Germany. Homeland security, you're telling Americans to spy on each other to create an environment of fear so that they can then exploit it for total control. And why is that important in the context of history? Well, show me a case in history where the government recruiting citizens to spy on each other led to a more secure, happy, free and prosperous society. Show me one example and I'll show you a chicken with teeth. You know, best case scenario, what's now happening in America leads to political oppression and dissidents being jailed as it did in East Germany. Worst case scenario leads to death camps, as in Nazi Germany. Many of the French resistance fighters in Paris and France as a whole were shipped off to those very same death camps for expressing their resistance against occupation. And now we invoke their spirit, their symbol of the V for victory in our resistance campaign against the takeover of our society, which is in many ways more insidious than black boot-wearing, stormtrooping Nazis. At least the French could see who their oppressors were, whereas in modern-day America, the government simply indoctrinates the American citizens to become each other's oppressors. We had the article a few weeks ago of the father who fed his daughter with organic food, prevented his children from having vaccines. His neighbours reported him as a potential terrorist. See something, say something. This is where it's all heading. Now, I've written, again, getting back to the historical foundation of this, where it's all coming from, I've written many times about the study of Robert Galately from Florida University. And he found that the common misconception about Nazi Germany and how it built up as this totalitarian state from the 30s onwards, a common misconception was that the Gestapo investigations came from the top, when in fact he found that 80% of Gestapo investigations of so-called political dissidents in Nazi Germany came from what they called denunciations by ordinary German citizens. So 80% of the cases were from informants. There were relatively few secret police, wrote Galately, and most were just processing the information coming in. I had found a shocking fact. It wasn't the secret police who were doing this wide-scale surveillance and hiding on every street corner. It was the ordinary German people who were informing on their neighbours. And now, what is Homeland Security telling Americans to do? At Walmart checkout counters, report suspicious activity in a program that's now been expanded to 9,000 shopping malls, sports stadiums, different buildings around the country. And what else did Galately find in his study of informant societies in Nazi Germany? He found that people were motivated to inform on their neighbours, friends and colleagues, not through any genuine concern for security, which is how Homeland Security pitches it, but through banal factors like, quote, greed, jealousy and petty differences. Quote, history tells us that any Stasi-like society does nothing to increase genuine security and only turns the host population against each other while decaying the country from within. And you can read about that study in the article we posted today announcing the launch of the V for Victory contest. So, also in Nazi Germany we had cases where people will be financially rewarded for informing on their neighbours. And we've wrote several articles over the past few years where, in fact, now local authorities in America are doing precisely that, giving people cash bonuses for turning in their friends and neighbours. And Homeland Security has embarked on the very same thing with their announcement that they're now looking for the general public to give them PSAs that promote this very Stasi spy program. So they're openly handing out cash bonuses for the American public to promote their fear-mongering agenda. So the interesting thing to this whole campaign is, of course, what it's based on generating, which is a reaction. You know, will the neolib, statist, Obama, Borg, Hive blogs and their allies in the establishment media demonize this as they did the Obama Joker campaign, as racist? You know, they tried to say it was vandalism. They labeled it, the LA Times did, as an act of cultural terrorism. When, you know, getting it down to brass tacks, it was a mere poster campaign. And compare it to Shepard Fairey's pro-Obama poster campaign, which elicited no condemnation from the establishment whatsoever. It shows you how petrified the establishment is of a mere poster campaign, of merely the slaves standing up and saying that they are the resistance and they will not tolerate this endless fealty as a march of big government accelerates. But this is bigger than Obama. It's about sending a symbolic message of defiance to those who believe that they have the divine right to micromanage every facet of our lives while turning Americans against each other. You know, now they're trying to ban the incandescent light bulb. I mean, for God's sake, if they can ban a light bulb, if they can ban you from purchasing a light bulb, they can basically order you to do anything. And it's not just about Homeland Security either. This march of authoritarianism is global in its reach, as you well know. So whether you're in the United Kingdom, America, Europe, or wherever, you can get involved in this campaign, and the message is universal, that you are the resistance, which is what's printed on the flyers. And it's about, you know, getting beyond the powerlessness, the inferiority complex, the pessimism. The occupied French, the French resistance, knew that they were living in tyranny, and the vast majority of them became frustrated at this same feeling of hopelessness and powerlessness that many of the listeners and the readers of our websites feel today. But as we quoted from Matthew Cobb's book about the French resistance, which I'm reading at the moment, quote, "The V campaign meant ordinary people could feel they were doing something, however symbolic, to protest against the occupation." And that's why the French in Paris and other occupied areas spent their time scrawling, spray painting, posting up this V symbol, which was later used in several movies, television series, right up until the past couple of years, as this universal historic symbol of resistance. So instead of, you know, sitting in front of your computer screens, leaving negative, pointless comments about how we're all doomed, about how we can't do anything, and, you know, wallowing in your own lack of self-respect, as some still do on a regular basis, why not actually try and join in on this V for Victory campaign? You know, why not stop just for a moment justifying your own apathy and laziness by telling yourself, you know, that peaceful action can't achieve change, and remember that there are countless examples throughout history where it has done exactly that. Not only with the French resistance, but, you know, what if Martin Luther King would just have, you know, been laying about moaning about how you can't change anything without guns and bombs? Would black people still be getting hosed by water cannons and sitting at the back of the bus? You know, Emily Pankhurst, pick whoever you want. Did she write letters about the futility of attempting to change anything, or did she stand up and get the job done? You know, hiding out in your shack and claiming you're part of some militia, when in reality you spend your time on message boards attacking anyone that bothers to do something, just doesn't cut it anymore. People try to denigrate the simple action of this campaign and ones like it, like the Obama Joker campaign, which was a massive success, which is why the establishment had to demonize it to such a degree. The reason why this is important, I mean, why do you think Homeland Security feels the need to put up their posters, to put up their telly screens in Walmart and their messages with Janet Napolitano, Big Sis, telling us to live in a constant state of fear? Why do they do it? If it has no effect, why do they do it? Because it indoctrinates and coerces obedience from the general public. Our tactics are no different from Homeland Security. The only difference is that their method of indoctrination is fear. Our method of indoctrination is freedom and, you know, reasserting ourselves as free-thinking individuals who refuse to be cowed by fear, which is the fear of expressing our right to dissent because we dread the consequences of the local tattletale reporting us to Big Sis. This is what the V campaign is all about. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for more on The Alex Jones Show live at prisonplanet.tv. Don't go away.